So this is the GIMP screen. This is, excuse me. So this is a design that I created back at the beginning of August that went viral and everybody recreated it and ran with it, ran that bag up. I love it. But I'm just going to open this file to show you how to use the different features and tools inside of the program. So this is the GIMP program. Again, it is free to have, free to use. Go to GIMP, GIMP.org to get your free download. And you can also get my GIMPing Is Easy like video ebook. I guess that's what you can call it. That shows you how to set up your screen to look like mine. So on the left-hand side, there are the tools as well as the tool options. On the right-hand side, there are the layers and paths and document history and stuff like that. So you'll see how to get it set up exactly like my screen so that you can follow along with any future tutorials that I do using this software. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go through the menu bars, the things that we use the most, or actually the tool options that we use the most. So first is going to be the move tool. It looks like a crossbar. So if you click on it, you can click anywhere on your canvas. So this is called a design canvas, this little square area or rectangle, depending on what size you create. Use your move tool to click on any of these layers, and you can move layers and select layers using the move tool. Then there's the alignment tool, which moves the selected layer to the center, middle, top, bottom. You can just snap it into place. As you can see, once you click here, in our tool options for this tool, I'm going to show left, center, and you'll know it's selected because there'll be a square each of the corners. Right, bottom, you can just see how it's moving into place. To the middle, to the top. So that's your alignment tool. Redo or undo all of that. So the next tool that you like to use, that we use often, is the rectangle select tool. If you click on that, you'll see the tool options where you can select feather edges around the corners, expand from the center. You can do a fixed aspect ratio. So it just depends on what you're working on and what you're looking to accomplish. But if you click on an active layer, and our layers are over here on the right-hand side, as said before, you can click and drag, and it'll give you these marching ants around the selection. And then you can do whatever kind of edits you need to do. Most likely you're going to be deleting or keeping space. But if you hit delete, you'll see that it removed that part of your active layer. So that's just how to use that tool. Turn off the selection. I'm just going to go to another tool. Oh, no, I got to go to select none from the menu bar. So the next tool is just like the rectangle tool, except this is for circles or ellipses. So same thing, click and drag. Once you get those dotted lines or the marching ants, do whatever you're going to do to your selection. Usually it's going to be deleting. I'm going to undo. Turn off the selection. Another tool that you're going to use is the free select tool. So this allows you to select or make a selection based on the shape that you create. So just click, go to the next point, click, go to the next point. But the goal here is to go back to that starting point to turn on the marking ants. And this is what I use a lot when I'm manually removing my backgrounds. But since we don't have to remove a background, I'm just going to do a random shape. You can see here, once you're marking ants, it's going to be in that shape once you hit delete. Okay. The next tool that I'm going to go over is the fuzzy select tool. So it looks like a wand or maybe a firecracker or something. I'm really not sure. But it's going to select everything in a region based off of color. So wherever you click on your canvas or on your active layer, you see how it's going to select everything that's this same color that's connected in that region, like it's all connected. You hit delete, you'll see how it reacts. It didn't do the eyeball because it's not connected. There's a black solid line in between that. But if there wouldn't have been that solid line, it would have grabbed this gray as well. I'm gonna undo. And I'm just using keyboard shortcuts as well, y'all, in case you were wondering. Then another tool is the select by color tool. So if you go click on that one, you can click on the same color that I used for the fuzzy select tool, but it's gonna grab all of the colors you see. Now it's grabbing up by the eye as well. So all of the regions, not the colors, all of the regions that are the same color in that layer. And I'm just removing it so you can see. So that's the difference between the fuzzy select and the color select tool. And of course, the crop tool is pretty self-explanatory. That's how I got this half of the face. Instead of having the whole face, I just cropped it down. So crop tool looks like a square, two right angles. So I'm gonna actually crop this layer some more, but you wanna make sure that current layer only is the only thing that's selected. Anything else, just go ahead and deselect it. And then you click and drag to the area you wanna keep. Let's say I just wanna keep this eyeball. You can drag it up if you went too far. And then all you have to do is hit enter on your keyboard, and it's gonna keep the selection. Another popular tool is the rotate tool, and that's just pretty self-explanatory. Just click and drag, and it'll rotate, or rotate to finish it. There we go. You can see it rotated the image, but I'm not gonna keep it like this. I'm just gonna edit, undo. And then the next tool, excuse me, is the scale tool. So it looks like a small square pointing down to the right to a larger square. And it's just gonna change the size. If you click on it, you can scale it up, make it smaller, make it bigger. You can increase the dimensions by typing it in here. You can also break this link and scale it without the proportions. So you can do that as well. But most images you are going to want to scale proportionally, so you want to make sure that this chain is linked. Then you're just going to click on scale. And here's your scaled image. I'm going to undo. Next thing, you can use a flip tool. So it's just going to flip it either horizontally or vertically. So once you click on it, you'll get this tool option, and you'll see where you can flip it horizontally. So it's selected by default. Click on it. I'm going to flip it across like mirror image, like vertical. It's going to flip it on its head, so top to bottom. That's a pretty cool tool as well. Don't worry about any of these page tools. That's more advanced designing, and I don't really use it too often either. So next tool is the bucket fill tool. Literally looks like a paint bucket. Remember the program paint? It's just the same thing. So you're gonna make sure that the fill type is with foreground color. So FG color fill, that means foreground color fill. And right now our foreground color is white. You know that because in between your tools and your tool options, you'll see these two squares, and it's going to signify the active foreground color and the active background color. So click on whatever layer you want to add a bucket fill to. So make sure it's selected here. So let's say we want to change these letters to red. I'm going to click on the red layers layer, red letters layer, and then click on those letters. And that's changing red to my active foreground color, which is white. So real simple. And it is going to feel best with solid colors. So if you get into more realistic images or gradients or something like that, the bucket fill tool is not the best option. Then there's also the gradient tool. So this is another way to fill in space in our tool options. You can see the different presets if you click on this square, or you can do foreground and background. So it's going to fade from the foreground to the background color. And you can see the different options for that as well. You can do a hard edge. You can do a HSV or RGB, or you can do transparent. It's just up to you. But let's say we're going to do this gold. The shape is important. You can change the direction that you want your gradient to be. You can do bilinear. You can make it expand from the center. You can make it spiral. It's completely up to you. I'm going to leave it at linear for now. And then I'm going to drag across this layer. It's going to fill this entire layer with that gradient. So you can see that is darker gold, lighter gold, darker gold. But if you wanted to fill this space, just the lettering, you need to select this layer for the letters, right click, and you'll get this menu. You need to make it a selection. I'll go alpha to selection. And then you get those marking ints, and then you can drag it across using your gradient tool, and it'll fill just the letters. So I like this tool as well. You just click inside of the selection, hit enter on your keyboard, and then turn off the selection to turn off the marking int. So that's how you use the gradient tool. It can be used as a background, or you can do it as a fill. It's completely up to you. Then the paintbrush tool, basically just drawing with a paintbrush. Choose your color. It's white. You can change the shape of it. You see you can do a line, like a bar. You can do these little cloud looking images. You can do a star. You can increase or decrease the size, increase or decrease the aspect ratio, the angle. This is just really depending on what you want your design to look like. I'm going to increase the size. And on this layer, you can see where I'm drawing. And let me draw on the bulldog. Be a little better. I'm going to select this one. Now you can see that I'm drawing. Now this is more if you're going to be doing intricate designs and you just need to make a small edit. That's going to be your paintbrush tool or your pencil tool, which is very similar, does the same thing, except it's a little more precise when it's coming to this brush stroke. Then there's also an airbrush tool. You don't want it to be so harsh as the pencil or the paintbrush. You can see where it's kind of faded. You can do that as well. Then the next one I use the eraser tool, pretty similar, except for this time instead of marking your design up, you're going to be removing parts of your design. So that's real self-explanatory. Same thing, you can increase the size, shape, all that good stuff. And then, of course, we can't leave out the text tool. That's how we even got this thing. So it's a black bolded capital A, and the tool options that pop up, you click on this box, you can choose from all of the different fonts that are installed on your device. You can increase or decrease the size here. You can type in a number or you can use the up and down arrows. You can change the color here if you need to. I usually just change it in my active foreground color, but either way, tomato, tomato. You can change the justification. So you can change it to left justified, right justified, center, or filled. If you scroll down, you can increase or decrease the indentation of the first line. You can increase or decrease the line spacing between each line in that text layer. And you can increase or decrease the letter spacing in between the actual letters. With this one, all I did was selected the impact font. If I can get to it. Impact condensed. And then you just click on your design canvas. Let me make this a larger size so you can see. Wherever or whatever your active layer is over here is where your text is going to start. So it's going to pop in place right above that active layer. So you can see here, it popped up above the active layer because I was messing around with this bulldog face. So the font or the text layer fell into place right above that active layer. And you can always move these around too, and I'll get to that in just a sec. But that's how you add the text. You can go here, highlight, increase or decrease the size. You can make it bold, italic, underline it. You can do a strike through. You can change the color here as well. I'm showing you those options, but I'm actually get rid of this layer because that's going to be it for the actual tools. So those are the tools that I use on a regular basis and that I teach you all how to use as well. So next, let's go ahead and hop over here to the layers window. So if you follow my training, you'll see how to set this up. This, what I've been referring to as the layers window or the layers dock or whatever you want to call it. So this is where all of your layers are going to be. In this, you can move layers up and down by clicking and dragging them up or using the up and down arrows at the very bottom of your layers window. You can turn on the visibility or turn it off by hitting this icon at the far left of that layer. So let's say you want to turn off the face, back on, just click it to turn the eyeball back on. You can also click this next box to link, which is right beside the eyeball. And all of the ones that have this link, all of those layers are going to be connected or grouped together. So you can edit them and move them together. So right now, let's say I want to link this face as well as this layer, this text layer. So I have to click on one of them. Let's say I want to move them, and they'll move together. So that's how you group. And then also, if you get a very intricate design where it's like a whole bunch of layers and you accidentally keep moving this one particular layer and it's getting on your nerves, you can just click on that layer. And right above where our eyeball and this little chain link is, there's a little bar that says lock. You can go over and go to this little, it looks like our move tool icon, but if you click on that, you can lock this layer into position and into a certain size so that it cannot be edited. So now if we try to move this one, it won't move. But if we move everything else, we're able to move it. But we just can't move this one that's locked. And then right above where you can lock the layers, there's a bar called opacity. This is how you can increase or decrease the transparency of certain layers. So this active layer is the face. You can see I decreased it, so now it's a little more transparent. And that's what we typically use for like watermarks and stuff. But for the main part of design, you want to make sure typically that most of your layers are at 100% opacity. So over here in layers as well, you can create new layers. The first icon, you can rename this layer. I like to go ahead and rename it. So let's do a background. This move too fast. Hold on, y'all. Let me do it again. Background test. And then you can change the width and the height. I like to just leave it at the default because I change it at the end so I don't make any mistakes. But what's most important here, outside of naming it, is where it says fill width. If you click on this box, you can choose the foreground color, the background color, white, transparency, or pattern. Typically, you're going to be doing either foreground color or transparency. So I'm going to do both. So foreground color, click on OK. Our foreground color is white. So here it is. Okay. Create a new layer. Let's change the fill to transparency. Okay. And now you can see it looks like it didn't do anything, but it created a transparent layer. You just can't see it because it's transparent, but here it is, background test. And then you can create folders here. So if you want to create folders or put your layers in folders, you can do that as well. I really don't teach it too much because people start to get confused when they're trying to find all of their layers because they don't remember which group they put it in. So it's a little more advanced. I might start teaching it later, but it is a little more advanced. But here's where you can move it up and down. If you don't want to drag it, you see I'm moving this layer down, back up. So the next one is to create a duplicate layer. So you can duplicate the active layer. So now I have two of these faces or half faces. I'm just turning it off and turning it back on so you can see that there's two. And then you can also, next to that, merge layers down. So you can merge the layer, the one that's active, to the next visible layer. So if I merge this copy with the original, it's going to go back to just one layer. And then lastly, you can duplicate. Oh, yeah. Delete is what I'm meaning to say. I was trying to make sure I didn't mess up just a second ago when I merged. Oh, okay. So when I merged, it merged with my background text, and that's what I was not meaning to do. So let me turn this one on and merge again. Now I have this one, and I still have my background transparent layer for the test. So the last option over here in the layers window is to delete the red X. So that's a quick run through of the layers window. And then this is just your recent document history. So stuff that you've been working on recently, past folder, that's more advanced training. So that's going to be in the membership later on down the line. But what's most important here is your layers and how to use it. And then we're almost done. I'm going to walk you through the actual menu bar now. So as you can see, it's not really too complicated. You just have to know what works for what and when to use it. So file, you can create a new document. You just put the dimensions that you want to use. Make sure it's in pixels, or if you're doing something that requires inches or something like that, make sure you go to the drop-down menu and select what you need. Click on OK. I'm not going to create a new one. You can create a new document from your clipboard. You're not really going to use that one too much. So that's why I just do File New. You can do File Open, and you can open an image or a design file that you already have. That's how you're going to open templates. If you get any GIMP templates from me, you're going to go to File Open and then just follow those prompts. File Open as layers is how you're going to get images or text or whatever it is onto this actual design file. So that's very, very important. Let me see. Grab this one, click on Open. If I move this up, you'll see that this new layer is now in this design file. So that's very important when you're designing as well. I'm gonna leave to get it out the way. But what else is in file? File, save as, save. Y'all basically know how that works. If you don't want to override a template, make sure you do save as, and then save as you continue to work the file. Export. So this is how you're going to make this image a flattened image so that you can use it for your printing or whatever your purposes are going to be. So you're going to add the name or make sure the name is correct. Here, you're going to make sure that the ending is correct. So if you need something with a transparent background, you're going to end it or make sure the ending is in PNG. You can go in here and type. If your file needs to be a PDF, you can just change it to a PDF. If you need to be a Photoshop image, you can change it to PSD. You just needed a more compressed image that actually has a background on it. JPG. Trying to think of the other file types. I think that's all you're gonna need if you're following any of my training. And then click on export, and then it'll ask you, are you sure you want to export? And then it's gonna tell you to click export again, and you move on from there. So the next thing is the edit menu or edit tab on the menu. This is how you're gonna remove or undo. I'm sorry, I was looking at the word remove and read it. This is where you're gonna do undo and redo. Or if you're a keyboard warrior like me, you can just hold down Control hit Z and it'll undo, Control Y to redo. If you're on Mac, Command Z and Command Y. And then here's where all of your cut and paste options are. So cut, copy, paste. But with paste, you're gonna do it paste as. So we don't really use paste in my trainings. We use paste as because when we paste from the internet or from email or whatever, you want to add it as a new layer. So you're gonna go edit, paste as, new layer. Then next, if you're on a Mac, for some reason it doesn't let you hit delete when you're trying to delete all the selections. So all of that selection stuff that I was talking about a few minutes ago, you can just go to edit, clear, and it'll work for you. I had to learn that the hard way. And if you've gotten to this point and you set up your GIMP already, you know that you can go to edit preferences. And this will show you how to get everything, or this will show you the back office or the dashboard so that you can see how to change your GIMP program. So you get all this good stuff. But I teach which features you need to edit in the GIMPing Is Easy training. All right, so select on our menu bar. Main thing you're gonna need is where you're turning off the marching ants by going to select none or holding down Shift, Control, and A. And then also, this is where I do my shrink and grow when I'm doing outlines. So let me see. Yeah, that's typically all we need from here. So select none, shrink and grow. View, this is basically just when you want to zoom in or out. And to make sure your guys are on and off. Make sure you're showing your rulers and stuff like that. So that's how you get to that. All of the things that you need to view on the screen. Image. Typically here, all that I'm going to change is canvas size. So if you need to change your canvas size after you've already created it, you can go here, image, canvas size, and you can change the width and the height here. And guides. So that's how I created these guides here. So this blue line, when I hover over it, it turns red. This center line, this far right line, I created those by going to image, guides, and then guide by percent. I'll change the vertical. And then for the far left, I just changed the position to 0%. For the center, I did 50%. And then for the far right, I did 100%. So I just did it 3 times. And then you can also go here and remove all the guides. So now those lines are gone. Those guidelines are gone. Layer from our menu bar. Really, I don't do too much here except for crop the content. And it's just to save space. So let's say you had a file that the border wasn't all the way to the edge. Like there was extra space between the end of the actual content in the layer and the border. So the border is this yellow line for each layer. You can crop the content so it'll make everything fit snug. There's no extra space in the background from the edge of the content to the border. And it also saves you file space when you're saving and exporting your files. So that's typically all I use from our layers tab. I do everything else from our layers window regarding layers. Colors. The main thing that I use here is hue saturation. And it has to be an active layer or a layer that's visible. You can change the colors based on a specific color, or if you drag these bars for a hue, you can see it and make changes. Now, this isn't always 100% perfect, so you have to play around with it. You can change the lightness and the darkness. You can increase the saturation or decrease. You can do a reset, but make sure that your preview is on right above this help button so that you can see what's going on. So again, you can select certain colors that you want to edit. So I click on the red, just the red changed. If I click on the yellow, which is in here, only my yellow will change. So anything that has that tint to it will change. And then once you get it how you want it, if you want to make changes, click on OK and do cancel. So that's it for colors. So for tools, I don't use anything here. Filters though, what I do use is light and shadow. And this is where I can do my drop shadow and my long shadow. So that's self-explanatory. I'm gonna do a drop shadow though, just so y'all can see. You get this screen, make sure your preview's on. You can increase or decrease the radius for the X and Y. Let me turn up the opacity so you can see a little better. And let me change the color. You can change the color here. I'm gonna change it to a color y'all can see. You can increase the radius. So now you can see that the yellow is starting to pop up. Increase the X and Y. So the drop shadow gives you more of like a glow effect versus the long shadow is more of a solid shadow. Kind of like it puts you in the mind of like a comic book. But once you get it to where you want it to be, click on OK. Again, increase, decrease the opacity, change the color here. Make sure you have the preview on though. Click on OK. I'm gonna do cancel because I don't want to keep it. So those are the 2 options under filters. And then windows, you should only be dealing with this when you're first setting up your GIMP software, which I have in my GIMPing Is Easy free resource. And then help, don't really need, I mean, if you want to ask questions, learn more about it. I don't really use it too much, but that's it.